for Rotherham United.
One's got round the back, and Richard Wood has done it again. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly.
Do me a favour, drop me off in Rotherham.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast, and it's time to look back at a win. Still unbeaten under Matt Hawshaw at home. Still unbeaten, obviously, that means at home this season. And a good day all round. Not perfect because, hamstrings exist, unfortunately, but we'll come on to that over the next hour or so. Mixed back with, how you doing, Mick?
Yeah, I'm all right. Can I just start off this evening with an apology?
Okay.
I feel as though you deserve an apology. I never mentioned this on the post-match yesterday. Yesterday was Matthew's birthday. So happy birthday yesterday, Matthew, and 3 points as a present. You're welcome.
Yes, what was that? Was that from you? Those 3 points?
Me, yeah.
Okay.
All you getting.
It's very thoughtful of you.
From me.
Cheers. John's back. How you doing, John?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks very much.
Top stuff. And Lewis is back. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, good. Thank you for having me on.
No worries. Good to have everybody with us. We have loads of comments already, so let's go through what we have. We have Paul Lewis's cracking debut from Tom Holmes. Hope we can keep him out of the treatment room. Damien Coe says, evening, guys. Worth 3 points. A lot of missed chances, but some good performances. Sarah Ogden says, evening all. Really impressed with Holmes yesterday and well-deserved man of the match. Looked extremely composed. Hope we can keep him fit. Millers66 is with us, as is YouTube user. Adele Lawton said, evening all. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. That's Hamstring United for you. Chris Tether, Stevie Make, Richards with us. Loads of people with us so far. Thank you all. With a few happy birthdays as well. Thank you, everybody, for that as well. Appreciate it. John, we had a mixed reaction yesterday, but just give us kind of your initial thoughts. We'll go into the specifics of the goals and the injuries and everything else in a minute, but a positive performance and 3 points we absolutely deserved, I thought.
Absolutely. I mean, I've said before, you can only go on performance. 7 out of 10 gets you at least a point. If you can push that to an 8, that's 3 points. I think it was sort of bordering on an 8 today. I mean, brave decisions again by Hawshaw, because seeing Dangor play that number 10 role, and I've got to be honest, I want to put him in that holding position. He played deeper yesterday, and his quality, he's obviously been at Man United since he was 8-year-old, so he's obviously got something. But the way he took the ball on the half turn, and that enables him to his first moves forward. And yesterday, he was sort of bouncing it off to McWilliams and Powell, and it just looked a lot better on build-up. And he were really dominant, Dangor. And it might be that he needs to be the main man in that midfield, I mean, going on yesterday's performance, it were another shrewd move by Hawshaw that's gone a bit unnoticed, I think.
No, absolutely. Dangor was excellent yesterday, absolutely. It's one of those, Lewis, that we should always temper these wins by saying that Exeter were average at best yesterday. They offered very, very little, but you can only beat this what's put in front of you. If you compare this a couple of weeks ago to Wigan, who offered probably not too much more than Exeter, but we couldn't get it over the line. We got this over the line and relatively comfortably in the end. They had nothing really against us, did they?
No, I can't really think of too many chances that they had. I think from first few, it was seconds at game where Hugill's chance very early on, we were on the front foot from the off, and yet when they're probably around probably the range we're going to be in this season in terms of league, and it's good to get a win over them at home, like you say. We've been good at home this season, unbeaten, and unbeaten under Hawshaw as well. So I think nice and positive.
Yeah, absolutely. Mick, have you had anything else that you've kind of thought on since the instant reaction, or are you still just in a positive place after yesterday?
Yeah, I am. I mean, there's still a lot of work to do. To temper it, like you said, you need to temper it, because that wasn't a complete performance by any stretch of anybody's imagination, unless you compare it to the last 3 seasons. And if you do that, then it's a significant improvement. So you can see the plan. I think everybody, whether you're a critic of the manager or not, you can see what he's trying to achieve here. And that's got to be applauded. And yesterday, for long periods of the game, we did achieve it. So it is positive, yeah, but there's still a long way to go. And that we'll get there a lot quicker once we've got a shorter injury list, if that ever happens.
We've been waiting for that to happen for a few years now.
We have. It's a worry.
Yeah, we'll touch on hamstrings in a minute. Let's just talk about the goal first of all, John. We'll talk about Denzel Hall's hamstrings in a minute. But he gets his first goal ever. From what I can tell, it's his first professional goal, and he celebrated like a man who never scored a goal in his life before as well. It was very, very excited. But it's a really, really good goal. Scott Kent, who maybe in the comments mentioned the pass from Tom Holmes into Denzel Hall, who flicked it onto Rafa, who passed it back in. It's just, I know the clearance from Exeter is not a great one, but the build-up's really, really nice, and the finish is just sublime.
Yeah, obviously, I'm sure we'll come on to Thomas Holmes, but yeah, great ball in, and you know, you can always tell a damn good player with his first touch, and his touch, he got it out of his body, which then made it pretty simple, although it weren't simple, to sort of, you know, have a great shot on goal. And I mean, I thought again yesterday, we seem to be more suitable as a back four. I'm not 100% sure whether Denzel Hall is a wing back. I think he's good on the sort of right hand side of midfield, playing as a sort of winger, but I don't think he's probably yet a sort of defender and a winger put together, if you know what I mean. When we've got that security behind him, he's got the license to go forward, and it was same with Coletta. He looks an even better player, and I think Hawshaw hinted that we'd already had interest in a couple of players, and I wouldn't mind betting he's one of them.
Yeah,
you can see that he could go to the next level quite easily. Bearing in mind, he's come to a new country. He'll be finding his feet, living wise, eating wise, and he's not had a bad start. Obviously, he's got this injury now. We don't know how bad it is, but I mean, you know, absolutely great goal, and he really enjoyed it, didn't he? He really did.
Yeah, he did. Tom Case says he looks like a comfortable championship player.
Yeah.
And he does look. Denzel Hall has been the top performer of the season so far for me. Yeah. I think everybody else, you consider, all had spells and everything else other than Holmes, obviously David yesterday we'll come on to, but Denzel Hall has been the Mr. Consistent so far, and he fully deserved his goal, and he actually took it superbly.
Yeah, well, I think he started every single game in league for us. I would have said, like, the first few games, Lenny Agbear up there as one of the better players, but he hadn't played for a number of weeks. So probably, like I said, most consistent over everyone who's been fit up until now. Denzel Hall's probably got to be the main player. And like I said, like a few people saying comments as well, I've seen on Twitter the last few days, he definitely is. It looks like he will be a championship level player. Whether, I mean, it's probably less likely to be with us, but unfortunately. However, you can see him getting a move. Probably not this not the end of this season, but maybe the year after, when it's time to try and make a profit and stuff like that. That's what Hawshaw spoke about, getting back to that sort of model and bringing players in, longer term contracts, and then selling them on for what we deserve to get for him. So hopefully that's the case with Hall.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Harry says, I'm with Harry on this one. He's been here a month and I'm already not ready for when he eventually leaves. Tom Swift says you could see when the width was lost when Hall went off. And yeah, that was we were so much in such a good place as a teammate, but when Denzel Hall goes off, it was obvious that we don't really have anything. JJ had to come out. It kind of changed the formation again, really. He's made such an impact in such a short space of time. Bearing in mind what John's mentioned about coming to a new country and learning a new game and learning a new management style, everything else, he's just ticked every single box. And I was absolutely gutted when he went off injured yesterday. Absolutely gutted. Yeah,
I was, and not for yesterday, but for the longer term. You know, these injuries seem to be, none of them seem to be sort of just a week out to recover. They seem to be longer term injuries that we're getting. So. Yeah, it's disappointing. He's a hell of a player, and you know, I still stand by what I said. Every one of the players he's brought in has potential. Some more than others. Some are closer to reaching that potential than others. But Denzel Hall has been a shining light so far. Arguably, like Lewis says, only because he's the only one that's been ever present. So that side of the club is looking up. It really is looking very positive. But we have got to develop them, and they have got to play together as a team, and they've got to start improving performances. And when they do, their value will go up, and obviously the value of our assets will go up as a club. So all from that side of it is positive, but injuries are the massive worry at the moment, aren't they? Unfortunately.
Matt, I know you went to Barnsley, Matt, as did, and I don't know if you noticed in that game, because obviously the first half we were all over Barnsley, we should have been 2 or 3 up, but Denzel Hall, he sort of were holding his sort of cheek of his backside.
Yes, he was.
You noticed that? He sort of tweaked something at Barnsley, and I thought, bloody hell, is he going to have to come off? And he sort of battled on. And obviously, which position we've been in, short on numbers, you'd probably have pulled him out at Donny game if you could have.
Yeah.
And because hands are tied, he's had to play him. And obviously, he's got this injury now. But I didn't know whether if you did notice that when he sort of held his hamstring at Barnsley, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I was worried at the time, thinking, I see he just kind of battled on as maybe we should expect. But yeah, I did notice at the time, absolutely. So it does seem that maybe it was connected. Tom Kay says he looks unflappable too. If you asked him to play in goal, he'd probably just say, yeah, no problem, mate. Yeah, he just seems unflustered by everything. He's got that Dutch attitude, really. You know, everything's just, it's all right, don't worry about it, we'll get on with it, we'll sort it. So hopefully that's not a too serious injury. Like I mentioned last week, September isn't too busy with fixtures, and early October isn't too busy with fixtures. So if it's only a few weeks, it might not be the end of the world. But we'll see. We'll see. Time will tell with that one. Going back to the start of the game, though, John, we started in our usual formation of kind of a 3-5-2-ish kind of thing with Tete and Hugill. We started pretty well, to be fair. It wasn't brilliant, but it was a pretty good start. And then the first hamstring of the day popped by the looks of it with Kina Tete coming off injured. When he goes down injured, what were your thoughts? Were you thinking, I don't know what we're going to do here, or could you see the kind of change coming up that he did make?
Well, it was a bit innocuous because he were down in that bottom corner. He went down with sort of nobody round him, and they're always the worst sort of injuries when they're around you. And I saw him sat there, and I saw him shake his head, and I thought, oh no, you know. And then you sort of looked at bench, and you sort of think, Coyote, it's a big ask, asking him to come on and play 70, 80 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, you'd probably want him to be playing 10 or 15 minutes. And I think, obviously, when he went off, you could see it had affected us, massively. We weren't as proactive as what we'd been, because Tete and Hugill were a handful for them. We was losing Tete. It took us a while just to sort of adjust. We sort of put McWilliams further to sort of link up with Hugill. So yeah, it's disappointing. I mean, I know people are sort of saying it's training ground and this and that. Listen, I go down to training ground quite a lot. I mean, I play golf down there. I don't go down to watch them train, but I generally looking, and I'm telling you now that surface at the training ground is better than the New York. So it's a load of bunkum saying it's the training ground. It's not. It's just look at draw, I'm afraid. I mean, I think probably Hampshire, I know Ross Burby's pretty big on running, probably, come off him a little bit on running side and probably not put as much load into him. It could be a number of reasons, but I certainly don't think it's training ground that's causing it, to be fair.
No,
go on. Let me ask a question. After the ones that are out at longish term injuries now, with the exception of Sam Nombe, how many of them got a full Rotherham United pre-season?
Hall did. Did he?
Hall
went in Portugal, were he?
No. And I just wonder whether I I had a conversation with somebody the other day about this, not necessarily about Rotherham United, but just injuries in general. And I was told by somebody who knows what they're talking about that there's an argument to say that they've not been pushed too hard, they've not been pushed hard enough in pre-season, these players, and they've not obviously got under enough strain and stress and everything else, and as a result, you're kind of playing at full pelt, but you're not fully fit. You know what I mean? And as a consequence, I don't know that. I'm just putting it forward as a different point of view, but like I said, with the exception of Nombe, I don't think they've all had that full pre-season, that absolute hammering, and kind of been pushed to the limit a little bit in pre-season.
I'd agree with you, Mick, on Etete, especially because that first game when he come on, he looked like a Sunday League player. He was a big club, and you thought, bloody hell, how are they going to get him up to speed? And they've had to get him up to speed fairly and probably too quickly, really.
Yeah.
That could be another cause of it. But what do you do? Especially on forward line, we've had next to zero options. I mean, people slag Jordan Hugill off, but lads never gets injured. I'm touching wood. Never gets injured. And if you think like Johnson, Clark, Harris, who are probably on not much less than Hugill, what we got out of him for his money, what we got out of sort of Dexter Blackstock back in the day. I mean, Hugill, he kept us up that first season. He flatters to deceive, but at least the lad plays and he puts a shift in. Yeah.
No, he does, absolutely. We got a few people with the list. So Cash Castle, Yearwood, Spence, or Benson all had the pre-season. Only Benson's pulled up injured out of those. I know the Spence was injured, but adding to Spence there, Spence didn't do a load of work in Portugal to get blisters. So Spence has missed out on a lot of work there as well, which obviously led into an injury as well. Don't know.
It's a thought. I don't know. You know, there's a lot of people calling out Ross Burberry or some people calling out Ross Burberry and all this nonsense. You know, it's just it's garbage. It's absolute garbage. Every team in all the divisions will be suffering from injuries, particularly at this time of the season when players are not fully up to speed. Yeah, maybe we've got more. Maybe we had more last season. I don't think we did because we didn't do any training last season, so it weren't a problem with it. The season before, you know, we did have a lot of injuries, but then everybody in the squad were 45 and over, weren't they? You know, so it's like, like John said, unfortunately, that's the way it is sometimes. And when we've got a bit of a bigger squad and a more experienced squad, it won't impact us quite so much. But also, you've got to add into the fact that the squad is hugely inexperienced, and that's what we wanted to a degree. You know, we wanted young, hungry players. So, anyway, I don't know what the answer is, but I'm not a fan of the fact that it's training ground. But I don't know.
Well, just on the training ground, Matt Taylor talked about that one of the training ground being one of the reasons for hamstring injuries or injuries when he was manager. But the work they've done
that everybody was 50 and over, like
no. But the work that's been done on the pitch since then, they've done a lot of work on the pitch. Now you can talk about the actual facilities of Roundwood and everything else. That's fine. But as John mentioned, they've done loads of work on the pitches since then. So I'd be amazed if that's still causing a problem because of the work that's been done over there. But as somebody put in the comments, Hill Hubs, we'll never know the reason. We can speculate on.
Exactly that. Yeah.
But yeah. But what it did do, Lewis, is it forced into a change. We put a post out asking for unpopular opinions. Sean on Twitter said I'm sure must have read X or watched our podcast as he switched to a back four on there. And it was when he did it, I thought this is not going to work. I thought Denzel Hall's too high up. I think Colette's too high up. But actually, it worked an absolute treat. It was perfect for Joe Rafferty coming in there and Holmes and everything else. It just worked at the time.
Yeah, I couldn't believe when Etete went off and Rafferty were coming on, and we almost had 4 fullbacks on pitch at one point, and I didn't really know what were happening, and then it just went to a 4 with the two more attacking minded fullbacks, wing backs pushed up into wing, and with Hugill in between them. But yeah, it did seem to work. The back four looked good. I know a lot of people have been crying out for a back four recently. I thought personally that this wouldn't be the game that I'd choose the back four simply because we didn't have Martha. I thought with him being away, waited until he were back because he is one who can definitely play out on the wing. But it did look as though we'd found another in Hall. But unfortunately, we won't be able to have him for a few weeks back looks. But maybe Coletta out there as well. I think he's definitely better going forward than he is defensively. So I'd much rather see him a bit further forward, whether it is on the wing, we're back four behind him, or if he sticks with a three and he's one of the wing backs. Now Hall is injured. That might have to be what he does. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I must say we just praised Hall. I don't think it's the end of the world as long as Coletta or Martha don't get injured. It's not the end of the world if he is missing for 2 or 3 weeks, because I think they'll whether we play 4 or 5. I think those two can kind of hopefully cover for Denzel Hall going forward. We will come on to Jordan Hugill in a minute. I see lots of love for Jordan Hugill, which I absolutely love. But Mick, we've got 22 minutes almost into the show, and we haven't really mentioned Thomas Holmes yet, which is a bit of a travesty, to be honest with you. Paul Davies said it was one of the best Rotherham United debuts he's ever seen. And yeah, it was just sensational. Thomas Holmes, he's a Rotherham United defender. He's classic Rotherham United. He is more Richard Wood than Richard Wood, to be honest with you. And he's better because he brings that composure. The more I thought about it since yesterday, the more I thought it's actually a better performance.
Yeah, it was a really, really good performance.
Okay.
But are we being flattered a little bit? Are we being? And I'm playing devil's advocate here, right? We've had such a mess back there for so long now that we brought somebody in who's very, very good at his job, and he was excellent. Don't get me wrong, he was absolutely outstanding. But he did what he had to do, and he did it well, and he didn't make a mistake. We've not even had people who've been capable of doing it well, let alone doing it well. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to get overly excited by him just yet, because if he was consistently that good, there is no way London Town would let him go. I wouldn't have thought, because they ain't got anybody better. Maybe they've got Akeem Adoffin, haven't they? But he's out because he's had an operation, hasn't he? So. But yeah, it was fantastic, and the key to it, I think, for me, is the word composure. That's the word that you used, and that's what's been lacking massively in this first team for the whole of the season. And his composure on the ball, I'm absolutely convinced helped Zach Jules, because the start of the game, Jules was so out of touch. It's mad. But by the end of it, he'd grown into it because he recognised, and I think they basically caught a bit of composure of Thomas Holmes. I don't know whether it's contagious or what, but he certainly, he grew into the game. So it's going to help him as well. And obviously, when Lenny comes back, it's going to help him massively. Because he's got Richard Wood coaching him, and then somebody like Thomas Holmes stood next to him. He's going to improve hugely as a footballer. So yeah, he's a massively important addition to the squad, and was excellent yesterday. I just don't know whether we think he was more excellent than he actually was because of what we've had to put up with previously. I don't know. I'm not sure. But yeah, he's a great addition.
Yeah, that's fair enough. What's your take on it, John? Do you think he was, as Paul Davis said, one of the best debuts in a while, or are we just getting giddy because of how bad it's been?
Can I be allowed to be giddy?
Yes, please.
Right. So, if you were making a template for a Rotherham centre half, you'd have a bit of Richard Wood, you'd have a bit of Chris Swales, you'd have a bit of Martin McIntosh, you'd have a bit of, for our older listeners, you'd have a bit of Dave Watson, and you'd have a bit of Carrie Arneson maybe. Mm-hmm. And for me, he had a bit of all them yesterday. A really mature performance for a lad that's only 25-year-old. A physical presence. He filled gaps. He defended box as though his life were on it. And icing on cake came for me. It for like 80 odd minutes. we were under cosh a little bit. They were throwing men forward, and Holmes sticks his arms out like Angel at North, and he looks to one side and he's got Joe Rafferty, and he looks to other side and he's got Zach Jules and he's got Reece James, seasoned pros, and he's bollocking him, get up here. And I'm thinking, wow, it's his first game, and he's took it on board. And something I picked up on when he were at Reading as a 21-year-old, his manager was Paul Ince, ex-Man United, and he handed him armband at 21-year-old, and he said to him, "Get out there and be vocal." And he said he thought he'd had a good game, and he went in afterwards, and he sort of said, "What do you reckon, Gaffer?" And Paul Ince said to him, "You weren't vocal enough." And he were a bit took aback. Thought, "Oh, bloody hell!" There were one or two older pros in there, and I thought, but he said he always stuck with him what he told him to be more vocal. And for a first game, and Mick called it well yesterday because instant reaction. Mick gave him 10 out of 10, and that was as near to a 10 out of 10 performance as I've ever seen in a debut. And I have got excited. I'm sorry.
I just picking up on Mike and Nick Newsom in the comments. Paul Stancliffe, absolutely, is who he's got a look of and plays like, and he was one of the best central defenders we've ever had, Paul Stancliffe. And he's got that look, but he holds himself like that. He performs like that, and he is, like John said, he is a Rotherham United centre half.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And if you compare him to Paul Stancliffe, if people are, then that is high praise indeed from Rotherham United supporters.
Yeah, we'll go through some of the comments. But part of my advice is, remember, guys, don't fall in love with a low player. Yeah. We're gonna go through all the positive comments anyway, because there's lots. Matt Miller says it's elementary from Holmes, you could say. Tom Kay said, I expect him to be a bit rusty and slow, but he looks sharp, like he'd been playing every week, which is one of the shining other things from him as well, absolutely. Tom Swift says he was immense, but putting him at the size of Zach Jules made looking okay. Killer Pubs, he was brilliant, won his headers, put his foot in, organised the back line. Josh Caswell thinks we should start a fundraiser to sign him permanently. A contract next summer, guys. Get excited about signing him, we obviously won't do it.
Cheryl's nailed this. Cheryl has absolutely nailed it. That's what it looks like. It's taken me. I've been trying to think, racking my brains since he walks on the pitch yesterday. Oh, he reminded me of Ian Sharps. He is his twin brother. In my head, with my memory, which is garbage. But Cheryl's nailed it there. Absolutely bang on the money, Cheryl.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I just got to get that. I think we mentioned already, but the ball he played into and made the goal went unnoticed at the time. Yeah, same thing Lenny did on the opening day against Port Vale as well. It was a similar kind of ball inside to there. Lewis, you could see him flagging towards the end. That's another thing I would say, which is going to come over the next 2 weeks. You could see it took a toll on him. But like John mentioned, you could constantly see him. I know he was a bit of a leader, but I was surprised how much he was organising and talking and everything else that comes with it on day one. He looks exactly like what we've been missing for about 4 years. Yeah,
I know, like you said about he looked like he was flagging it, and I know a few people mentioned just as we started about his hamstrings as well. I think there was a point if we'd gone up, I think he'd gone up for a corner or something like that, and not way back his holding hamstring, and I think he had someone chucked him like a pouch or something like that. For him to drink, and it looked like a proper digging in, proper just getting through it. And that was a surprising thing. I didn't think he'd play the full 90 at all. Maybe if all ones had gone off injured, and you had your full back line to pick from, he might have come off a bit. He might have come off early. But yeah, to say I don't think he's played too much football recently. To say he got through the full 90, he looked like he was struggling a little bit, but he still managed it. But like you were saying about his leadership, that was the main thing that I was impressed with. I don't think like you said, we've got Raggett, but I don't think Raggett's really shown too much leadership. Really, I won't say. I know Rafferty does, and with his passion, and you can see he talks to him and he shouts at him, and he does give him a bollocking sometimes. But Holmes were doing it constantly. To say he's only just been here a week or so, he was really getting into and really making sure, like John said, with arms out, making sure they were pushing up and stuff. I thought he were like a really commanding figure, both on the ball as well, winning his aerial duels, winning tackles and stuff, and then commanding in terms of vocally as well, which is something we've definitely missed. So yeah, like I've seen a few people calling for him to be a captain, but it might be a bit soon for that. But you never know.
Another difference. Well, he's quite good bringing ball out and find it midfielders into feet. Normally, we've been lumping it long down that channel, and then it breaks down. But we sort of passed through midfield yesterday. I thought that were another good sign of him. He looks a good footballer, doesn't he? As well, as well as being a commanding centre half. Yeah.
Well, when we read all the comments from Luton and even Reading fans say he'll head it and kick it, but he's not great on ball. It was so calm and cool on the ball. I'm not saying he's going to take 3 men on, but he was again. He's exactly what we've been missing from our centre halves, other than probably Lenny over the season so far. Scott Kent, it's all we asked for. Passion. The lad gave it all as well. Nick Newson says praise to Hammy. Sure he would have mentioned he signed him as much for anything for his leadership, and that leadership will pay off even if he gets injured in a month's time. That leadership will still be around the dressing room. He'll have built up those relationships with other people. Will have learned from it and everything else. So. That it could turn out to be a great signing, but it's only one game, so we'll see what happens next week against Wimbledon when he pings in an own goal. We'll cross that bridge next week. Not a negative, mate, but I want to touch on Cam Dawson from yesterday. He didn't have anything really to do, shot stopping wise, but yesterday was the first time where he kind of really obviously making slow decisions coming for the ball. Particularly in the first half. There was maybe one in the second half, but there was 2 or 3 in the first half where he just thought, just come and clear it. And one of those one where Zach Jules had to clear it because Cam Dawson didn't come and take the ball. Now, I'm not jumping on the train of the Cam Dawson haters because I know there are some of them out there, but that was a bit of a concern because we considered a corner from one of them. And if that's a bigger team, a more physical team than Exeter, like Donny last week, you're then potentially in a bit of trouble. But that was the first time I've really, really noticed it. I don't know if that came across to me that watched it at home, but that really, really came across to me yesterday. I was a bit of not sure about that.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie's basically stole my thunder there with the answer because he's right. He doesn't move off his line particularly, but his command of his area is lacking significantly. And I just wonder whether there's a confidence issue or what. I don't know. As a shot stopper, he's very, very good, but his command of his area is not. He's an experienced player. I know he's not particularly old, but he's played at a decent level, and he's an experienced goalkeeper. So I would have expected and hoped that he would have been a little bit more. I don't want to use the word commanding again because I've used it about 4 times, but that's basically all. That's what it is. He needs to inspire some confidence in the defenders in front of him. I'll temper that, though, by the fact that up until yesterday, the defenders in front of him have not really been doing the job that they need to do because they've been chopped and changed every week due to injuries. So maybe once he's got a settled back 4, back 5, back 3, whatever it's going to be in front of him, maybe his confidence will improve a little bit. But we can't get on his back. He's our goalkeeper. And just because he has a bad game or a couple of bad games, or he's out of form or whatever, it helps absolutely nobody at all to be getting on his back. It's utterly pointless and counterproductive. So I mean, Josh has mentioned it in the comments there. I'm not aware of it. Tom, in the comments there. I'm not aware of it in the ground, but obviously. Tom's recognised that the ironic cheers where he catches across or whatever. It doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. It makes it much, much worse. So we've got our part to play as well, but I think confidence is an issue as far as Cam Dawson's concerned. So yeah.
I mean, I think first thing fans have got to realise is you're not a Victor Johansson. And to be fair, Victor Johansson weren't a sort of commanding keeper that came out and took everything.
No.
And you listen to Wednesday fans when Cam Dawson were in their side, they sort of said he's not commanding enough. He's a good shot stopper, but I think as a League One goalkeeper, he's pretty decent myself. I mean, he got they had a go at him yesterday. This cross coming from left hand side, and it sort of went towards edge of area, and they were onto him because he didn't run out to get it. But I would imagine Warrington as a goalkeeping coach, you would not want your keeper going that far out to try and take a ball that it were odds on whether he could actually get it while it were in box or whether it ran out of box. So you don't want your keeper running that far out to get a ball. And then just after that, there were a similar incident with Exeter keeper, and he sort of ran to edge of his box and he collected it, and they were all saying, that's how you do it. I mean, I'm not being funny, but he will hear them sort of things, and that's not going to do lad any good whatsoever. He's our keeper. We're not going to bring anybody else in. Windows shut. Get behind him, and get lad a chance. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I saw Cam at Bolton. Fair enough, he had a good game, but he didn't have a lot to do. And to be honest, I feel better with Dawson than Cam. If I'm being honest, we haven't got anybody else, so let's get behind him. No,
I agree. I completely agree. He's going to have bad games, and I think yesterday wasn't one of his good games, but we won the game and he kept a clean sheet. So it doesn't really matter, Lewis, does it? As long as you're winning these things, it's just something that the atmosphere around him is there a little bit in it, unfortunately.
Yeah, even like last season as well, when they were chopping and changing between Phillips and Dawson, and there were people had question marks over both of them at times, probably Phillips more so, but there were still question marks over both. But then coming into this season, I think as soon as Can signed, it was almost obvious Dawson were going to definitely be number one. It wasn't going to be another case of two number ones fighting for it every week. I know like Can was good on Tuesday against Bolton, but I still don't think there's really. I know someone's mentioned in comments that do you reckon he knows he ain't got much competition? Dawson, that's the question is. I'm not saying it's something that's like putting down his performance as well, but is that just something in the back of his mind? He don't feel like he's going to get replaced at any stage. And I can't really, I mean, some comments Hamshaw's made as well about Can recently. I just can't see anything changing with it. And I think, like I said, we've just got to get behind Dawson because he will be number one, I think, for basically all league season.
Yeah, he is, absolutely. And Whoopsie did the same with Dylan Phillips. He was nowhere near Dawson's capacity. Big up the guy we've left. Yeah, if we had two keepers last year, we've kept the better one, haven't we? I think we're all in agreement with that one. So
yeah, and listen, Can's a youngish lad, you know.
20, yeah, he's 29, I think.
Is he?
I think so. Yeah,
I'll take that back then. I mean, he's young compared to me, is what I meant.
Aren't we all? He's actually 30.
Unnecessary.
Really?
Matthew.
He's not 30, is he?
Apparently so, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Cameron Dawson.
Oh, I'm talking about Can.
Ed Can.
21, I think.
He's 24.
Right. So he's young for a keeper, is what I'm saying.
Right.
You know, and he's not hugely experienced. He's going to take a little bit of time. He looks decent, lad. He looks decent. He looks the part, definitely. But he just needs a bit more experience. I wasn't talking about Cam Dawson. No, I appreciate he's not a young lad.
Well, we need to come to an agreement to not call Cam Dawson Cam then, because Cam and Can is quite confusing.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah, I'm with you. All right, fair enough.
Anyway, let's move on to a more positive conversation, John, which I think is a more positive conversation anyway, which is Jordan Hugill. I thought it was his best game in quite a long time. To be honest, I think that the change in formation suited him down to a ground. It helped having those two bodies next to him, essentially. And I'm convinced he'll never score again through no fault of his own. The world doesn't seem to want him to score. It never falls to him.
No.
But Hugill was what I wanted yesterday from a centre forward. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I think he had that early header after a couple of minutes, didn't he? That unlucky, a bit more purchase on that, and that's down at bottom corner. But I thought, obviously, Tete, he led the line really well, stood up really well, and like I said previous, he puts a shift in, he don't get injured, and there were a moment during game, it was sort of late in game, and a cross came in from left-hand side, and one of their defenders had it out, and Hugill was sort of in middle, just out of area, middle at goal, and it sort of come to him on half volley, and he hit an absolute superb pass out to Reece James. Did you see it? I mean, that's a great touch from. I mean, Hugill's let's not forget, he's had a right career. He's, and we all want him. I mean, you can hear Rotherham fans, they're absolutely wanting him to become that, unless they're doing it for a joke, to want him to be that cult figure, because they did similar things with Tom Eaves, and I think that will probably. But I think they genuinely mean it with Hugill. And I was down at Roundwood the other day when I was playing golf, and I was sort of parked next to Hugill, and he came out, and I was sort of gagging. I was gagging to just have a word with him, because I've got a son his age. I thought I was bothered to chat with him, but I bottled it like. And you just want to say to Jordan, this could be your swan song, because Rotherham love a cult figure, especially a striker. And, who knows? He could still end up being that person.
Yeah, he could absolutely. Paul Rose says he got in there number 4's head. That was Jordan Hugill, just wonderful. I love that part of it. Completely in his head, just the best.
I don't care what he does from now on. That cements his place as a Rotherham United player. What he did with that number 4 yesterday, it was a thing of utter beauty.
Yeah, it was absolutely was. Loved it. Just casually, he had service the difference, and he's had their defence in the palm of his hand. Absolutely, Jim Wilkes needs one of those to go over his arse, and then maybe his look will change. But this has been the frustration, though, isn't it? Because we all, like John mentioned, he had a great career. We know how good John Hugill can be. We saw it in the first 6 months or so how good he can be. For one reason or another, he has really, really struggled. But especially when he came off yesterday, I thought you could see the fans are desperate for it to go well. You sometimes see players who don't score and fans kind of get on their back, but it's really obvious the fans wanting to succeed and get those goals. And hopefully yesterday was a first step forward into maybe Hampshire knowing how to use him a bit better as well. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. I think, well, like you mentioned, his first 6 months, it really did come in, and I was quite a big fan of him when he first came in. I think did he get 5 goals that first season, I want to say.
I think so.
He scored a few against QPR, and it were all his former teams, wasn't it, really? We were scoring against. But yeah, and then last season, it didn't really, whether it were to do with competition with Clark Harris or just Evans didn't fancy him, it didn't really work at all. The only goals he was scoring were in Papa John's or Virtue Trophy. And then this season, the main, I think the main, not talking point, the main, like, I can't think of a word. People were getting excited about him in pre-season with the hat-tricks he scored and stuff, and stuff like that. And everyone saying, is this going to be a season with Hampshire? He's getting number 9 shirt. Is this going to be the year he proper kicks on? And like I said, he is somewhat of a cult figure. Like when he comes off, he's always got his hands above his head clapping. He's always going off to chant his name and stuff. I think, like you've said, everyone does want him to do well. It's just a case that I think Paul Davis has said recently, he hasn't scored in over a year, I don't think.
Nearly a year, yeah.
I don't know if that's a competitive, like a league game, or whether that includes cups as well. I'm not too sure, but he just needs, like someone said in comments, he does just need one to go off any body part. He just needs a goal, just to, like you said, with a header early on as well. I think other week as well, he had a similar sort of chance early on, or with a header. He is getting unlucky. But then if he's putting in performances like yesterday, then hopefully his goal will come for him. And then whether or not he goes on a bit of a run, I think that's what most people will be hoping. But whilst we have got injuries up front, Sharif out, Nombe out, now Tete out as well, he's going to be the starting figure. There were a question other week as to whether he'd even start when all new strikers are in. Whereas now it's reversed straight back to him being the number one choice up front again for however long the other three are going to be out injured. So hopefully he can get a goal first and then maybe a run together, which I think every fan wants, like I said.
I think he had that dipping volley at late on at Donny as well, which were unlucky.
Yes.
And yesterday when he was sort of one-on-one, he helped defender off. Again, unlucky. So I think it's coming. And probably he's one of them strikers. Once he gets one, he might go on a bit of a run and get 2 or 3 goals. Let's hope so anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. It is not quite a year. October the 26th was his last goal. Somebody put in the comments, Tom K, his last goal was a deflected goal against Stevenage. 2-0 win against Stevenage last year. If you remember, he shot from about 30 yards and it just took a wicked deflection and kind of just looped in. So it wasn't the prettiest of goals. But anyway, I wonder with Jordan Hugill, Mick, that I remember watching it when he joined us, he did an interview with a Norwich channel. And he just came across as the kind of guy that just needs a bit of love. He needs to be told that he's a good player. He needs to be told he's wanted and everything else that comes along with modern footballers. We can say what Evans, that's not Evans' style. His style has been successful. That's not Evans' style at all. Evans kind of made it very publicly known that he didn't want Jordan Hugill from pretty early on last year. And that's almost certainly played into Hugill's performances in the last 12 months. To be fair to Hawshaw, when Hawshaw's played him, one or 2 times out of 3, there is a performance there from Jordan Hugill. So, and because we've got to play him now, you would hope that he'll get that love, he'll get that positive vibe from Hawshaw. And if he gets that goal, I mean, if he scores on Stockport and New York State next time, roof will come off. We're all desperate for it, aren't we?
Well, yeah, we are. And yesterday there were times when he did get the service from out wide, and that ball was half a yard short or 6 inches just away from his feet. It's just not falling for him. But who knew if you looked at what made players tick and used that to make them tick, that would work. Maybe that's a management technique that some people could take on board. He's definitely that kind of lad, isn't he? He needs to be. He needs to be loved, even if he's not doing very well. And we're all different. I like him. I do like him, and I so desperately want him to do well. And I know he's played poorly at times, and I know he's probably not read the room particularly well at times either in terms of how he performs on the pitch. But I still want him to do well. I want him to do well because he's our player first and foremost, but also for himself as well. Finish your career off with a 20-goal season, be it this season or next season or whenever it is, but get yourself back in the goals because that's what he does. So he's got a through bad luck more than anything else, he's got a decent opportunity now to get quite a few starts. Let's give him the service and let's push his career on. I mean, it's not got, with the greatest respect to Jordan Hugill, unfortunately, lad. We all know you're 30. I don't know, 30, whatever it is. 30, yeah, your career's only got a couple more years at best, really, in terms of this sort of level of football. So let's make it count. I like him. I do like him, and I want him to do well. So want him to do well.
Yeah. Do you think, John, the formation change is going to be important going forward? I always think he's struggled in a 3-5-2 so far. That's not really suited him, but the change with the 2 quick guys next to him yesterday really seemed to bring him into the game much more.
Yeah, I think that's right. We played, like I said earlier, we played differently yesterday. We didn't lump it forward. We played through the thirds, and we were looking to sort of slide people in when we come. We got it out wide. We put more crosses in. So that's going to. As I've said previously, if you can Jordan Hugill between sticks and get balls into the box, he'll get on ender more than he'll not. So I think, it will suit him. And he's probably one of them players, he does like to be the main man. He's got the number 9 shirt, so he probably feels the main man at the minute while Nombi's out. And it's football's, it's a confidence thing, isn't it? You could sort of see which side, when we get in front, we had a spell and we look dynamic. if we could back this win up with another performance at Wimbledon, even if it's a draw. I mean, I was talking to a kid the other day, and this lad, I've seen him at Cardiff on a Tuesday night. He's a proper supporter, and he would sort of on about away support as a Rotherham fan. Last 3 seasons, I mean, I've not been to them all, but I've been to a few. But these people, supporters club that go to every game, you've got to take your hat off to them, because there's no worse. You go to an away game and you're sort of excited. Is this going to be the 3 points? And it's gone on for 3 seasons now. And this kid, who's a positive lad, he was sort of saying to me, "Wow, we'll never get this." And I was surprised to hear it from him, because he is a positive lad. So if we could back that performance yesterday with a result against Wimbledon, who knows where it could take us, It's important. I think that's one of the lines I'm sure will be ramming down the throats in training. I mean, after a win, that Monday morning in training, what a feeling it is. You're on top of the world, and there's a whole new vibe round squad. And he'll be taking it in, saying, "Can we carry this on on Saturday?" So you've already got an extra 10% there, haven't you? And I think they will. I think they will take it on at Wimbledon. I think we will come away from there with a result.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll cover it Thursday, but this run of fixtures is a real opportunity to pick up some points over the next 3 or 4 weeks. But we'll touch on the long-term future Thursday when we got less to talk about. Goalkeeper says, "Spot on, John. It's not a difficult game. There are only three ways to score through the middle of the top right side to keep it simple." Let's touch on Dan Gore, Lewis, because he played slightly differently, a slightly different position last week. All the time he's played so far this season, he's played as high as you possibly can while still being a midfielder. Whereas yesterday, kind of played where Liam Kelly normally plays, sort of, maybe a bit with much more legs. But for me, that was Dan Gore's best performance in a Rotherham shirt so far. And also, not more importantly, but very importantly, his set pieces were actually quite good.
Yeah, he were. Other than Holmes, he was a standout player for me, Dan Gore, yesterday. Like you said, with set pieces, just to start on his set pieces, he took, I think someone sent comments earlier about Powell took one and it were not brilliant. And then Dan Gore was just on every single one for the rest of the game. And they were all decent. I think there were a few chances where there could have been someone on ending them. But yeah, I think he's probably going to be on corners from now on. Definitely after that. And then we were playing a bit deeper. I remember, I think it was Wigan when Sharif was on as well and Atete in that second half, and Gore were just in behind them, and the three of them were pressing, like really aggressive, and you could see like all younger, hungrier players. But then he sort of dropped back a little bit yesterday into a deeper role. But I think just everything about him yesterday was just brilliant on the ball as well. And then what I like most is just his aggression and his tenacity and stuff. That was the main thing I noticed about him. I think going back to last season in the Peterborough game, that's one thing I was shocked about. I mean, you think about him coming from Man United Academy, you think he's going to be really good technically and stuff like that, which he is. But the main thing for me, which I'm impressed with, is how aggressive he is and how he gets stuck into tackles and stuff. And with his pressing and stuff, he did really impress me yesterday. And he's probably the standout other than Holmes at the back. But all three in midfield as well, to give Williams some credit as well. All three of them were really solid, I think. And I mean, you feel for like Yearwood, for example. I know he spoke about he wants to really push on, but I can't see him changing that midfield after Saturday. Definitely not.
No, I was worried when that three midfield was announced. I was kind of a little bit worried, but with the way Gore played, it just complemented McWilliams and Powell really, really well. On set pieces, Mick, a few people in the comment mentioned Dan Gore. It was the difference I've noticed, and this might be a different thing. I remember Joe Powell reminds me of a left-footed Cafu, where he wants every corner to be absolutely perfect. It's got to be on the spot. It's got to have pace on it. Whereas Dan Gore, it was just right. I'm just going to get this in the right area. Just going to put it on 6-yard box, penalty spot, whatever the case may be. I don't have to whip it. I just need it in the right area for somebody to attack. And it was just so much better. Powell could maybe learn from that. Maybe just take a yard off it, just get it in the right area, and probably improve.
Just relax.
I
think that's what Dan Gore does. He's not putting any pressure on himself. He's just exactly as you say there. Joe Powell's got a reputation as being a dead ball specialist, so therefore the pressure's on him straight away to hit the mark every time. I don't know whether that's right or not, but goal were excellent yesterday. That is it would appear, based on one game, or 3 or 4 games before that, and then yesterday, that is a better position for him within this squad. Whether that's where he naturally plays or not, I don't know. But he impacted the game more yesterday than he's done collectively for the rest of the season so far. I thought he had a great game, really, really good. And yeah, I mean, like Lewis mentioned there about technical Man United Academy being I give you what's his face from I forgot his name now. I can't think.
You were going to make such a good point, and now you can't remember what it was.
It's something to Wrexham. My head's gone.
What?
Against Wrexham.
Rathbone.
Ollie Rathbone.
Yeah. Ollie Rathbone came from the same place.
Did he?
You know, and he's I can't believe I can't remember that. I think oh dear, this could be it. This could be the end.
I think what you've also got to remember with Gore is he was sort of on a par with Kobe Mainoo at Man U. Both of them came through academy together.
Yeah.
And Gore got his loan move to Port Vale, got injured first couple of games, missed the season, then went back to Man U, came to us, got injured, missed majority at season. So that first loan, if that had gone well for Gore at Port Vale, he could well have gone back to Man U and been what Kobe Mainoo is doing now. That's how good Gore were rated. Now, probably now, I think that window of opportunity for him's probably gone at Man United. He'd probably go back and at best get a move to a championship club. But I mean, you can see, and he's tenacious. He's not scared of a tackle, is he? He's got silkiness about him, but he'll get stuck in as well. So I thought yesterday, first time I've seen we got our press absolutely bang on. We made it very difficult for Exeter to play out. We closed down. We sort of hunted in packs, and if somebody didn't quite win it, the next person moved on. We made it really difficult for Exeter yesterday, and they've had a couple of good results away from home. They won 3-1 at Peterborough. They won 1-0 at Wickham, I think. And what we hadn't mentioned, going back to Thomas Holmes, is he were up against Josh McGuinness, international, somebody we tried to sign on one. He's no dumpling, so that's another thing to think about.
No, absolutely is. Matt Neal on set piece says helped our set piece that Exeter played such a high line. It was daft.
God, what the hell?
It was just bizarre, wasn't it? Their high line, bizarre.
We're almost level with where free kick we're being taken from.
Yeah. Well, when Dan Go had one, there was in line, and he just put it right. He just tipped it over him, and we almost scored from it. It was just.
It was bizarre, weren't it? That. Yeah. But anyway, their manager knows best. He kind of knows best.
Not sour grapes at all. Right, Martin Miller says, how important was the assistant's correct flag for offside and added time in the context? Huge. Usually got the decision correct, but I don't know if Mick's agree with this. Other than the last 10 minutes, I think the referee had a really, really good game yesterday.
Yeah,
I think he did lose it in the last 10. I think it got a bit messy for him, but I thought the referee had a really, really good game yesterday. I think we don't mention that enough, do we?
No, I agree with you. I think he did, and he did lose it in the last 10 minutes, and he became very inconsistent. But I mean, everybody were tired, and I don't know whether he was tired as well. Well, I don't know. And I'm not I don't know. You know, I don't know how difficult it is, but pretty much most of the game he got everything spot on. He tried to let things go. You know, tackles which some days would be yellow cards weren't. They were just a sensible chat with player and get on with it. But like I said, the last 10 minutes, he kind of spoiled that by getting a couple of daft yellows out that he wouldn't have given earlier in the game. So no, I thought he did a decent job. Decent job.
Agreed. Right, is there anything else, lads, you want to mention? Any of the performances? We touched on most of the team, to be honest with you. Anything else we want to mention?
Obviously, Coletta. Think that lad. I mean, he's got so much power and pace. When he comes up against somebody, they sort of bounce off him, and then that first yard away just leaves people for dead. I mean, what a signing he's been, and we have actually signed him, haven't we? So he's going to be a big one for future. He's played a bit on left as well, which is he's a right-sided player, and he's not looked out of place on left. I think Coletta deserves some credit. I was pleased for JJ yesterday. I mean, that lad signed a contract that he sort of gets paid on appearances, so he's desperate to do well for Rotherham United. He's been there since he was a bairn, and he's 25 now, and I still think there's a player in there. I hope it comes good for him. He's going to get his chance now, ain't he? Because obviously with injuries, and I really do hope it comes good for him. I'd love to see it come good for him.
Yeah, I agree. Also, this football symmetry for you. JJ's only league goal for us so far came at Wimbledon.
Wow.
So, maybe a second one, that'd be nice. We will touch more. Yeah, Josh, we'll touch more on Cody on Thursday as well, because there's a few other bits. When Coletta went down at the end of the pitch, at the end of the game, yes, I thought, oh my God. But thankfully, he was just kind of playing the game, I think, a little bit in the end. So that was nice.
I like Coletta a lot.
I like him.
Yeah. For me, it's going to be touch and go between him and Hall. I think he's got that level of quality in him. I think he's a little bit younger and a bit raw, more raw, but I think he's certainly got that amount of quality in him. He is a player. I like him a lot.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, absolutely is. Nick Newsom on the referee 8 minutes was just fine. Yeah, he probably was, to be fair.
Yeah,
like then, but it was right.
It was right.
Go on.
Yeah. And I didn't get to talk about this, I don't think, because I wasn't. Were I on the Sunday game after Doncaster? Sunday thing after?
No,
Doncaster?
we did a deadline day one, and you were.
So explain to me how at Doncaster we can have 9 substitutions in the second half and only have 4 minutes injury time.
I agree.
Is it not 30 seconds a sub?
Supposed
I don't know what it is, but either way, I thought 8 minutes were right yesterday, but last week were a joke.
I agree.
I don't want to miss out on a chance of having a dig somewhere along the line.
That's fair.
I've not known Mike for ages.
Jim Wilkes says, how some people say this squad isn't good enough baffles me. Joshua Caswell adds he's on Coletta, just tired, and said he loves Coletta, reminds me of a bit of Brook Norton Cuffy. I see that a little bit, but I think he's got more to his game than Norton Cuffy. I think Norton Cuffy flattered to deceive. Now, he's gone on to be a really good player, Norton Cuffy. He's gone on to England, to Owens and Bologna, I think, and done really, really well. But at this stage, I think Coletta's better than Norton Cuffy was, but we'll see that one. Right. We'll knock it out there. So we're going to do a fan show next Sunday. We're going to do it Thursday, but then I realised for reasons which will maybe become clear, next Sunday is a better idea. So people can come and talk about the Wimbledon game next Sunday on next Sunday's show. So if you want to come on the show next Sunday, you can let us know. If you send us if you message on Twitter, if you think you are muted on Twitter, because some people are, you'll have to email us, which is rufcpod@gmail.com, and we'll send you a link. We'll get you on next Sunday to talk about mainly the Wimbledon game or anything else you want to talk about that's Rotherham United related. But we're back Thursday anyway. Thursday evening, we're back to preview the Wimbledon game. We'll try and get a Wimbledon fan on like we do every week for the Scout Report, and then we'll go from there. Make sure you've subscribed if you haven't done so already. If you are watching on iTunes, Spotify, give it a 5-star rating. If you're watching live or after, make sure you give it a thumbs up as well. Give it a like. If you're watching on Twitter or Facebook, please make sure to follow us in those areas and the other areas as well. Thank you very much, Mick. Thank you very much, Lewis. Thank you very much, John. It's been a pleasure talking about a victory. We will see everybody next time. Thank you all for watching. And as always, up the Millers.
Up the Millers.
Up the Millers.
Comes for more. 2 for Jepson, 2 for Rotherham. Shoots. Ravel. Vicious. Brilliant.
sweetest feeling for Rotherham United. Woods got round the back, and Richie Wood has done it again. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly.
Do me a favor, drop me off in